do you guys? It is your boy, Leon Mookie here, back with you with another new chapter of the Saint Hero Deku. And God, oh, fuck me. I won't lie. I have been forgetting about this series. Not on purpose. I have tried to remind myself so much of this series. I just keep on forgetting afterwards. ADHD is a bitch. If it wasn't for me going on that of a gangster series binge, I think I would definitely completely forgot about this. Hell, I was literally getting hyped for that of NTE, which is called Neverless to Everless, the anime GTA game that's supposed to come out this year. Not to mention, I was also planning on doing a crossover between MHA and Akiba Maid Wars. Until my black ass remembers, I have this series. I can basically do this before I start doing shit like that. So yeah. Anyway, let's go through that of a really necessary recap. A few weeks have now gone by since Izuku has become a member of the 3rd Street Saints, as he's basically killed at least a few members of Carnales, Vice Kings, and Rollers, while helping out a few people around town too. However, he's keeping the secret that he's even part of a gang to begin with, especially to that of his classmates and friends at his high school, not wanting to get them involved. However, being part of, the 3rd Street Saints, they finally got the opening that they needed to finally take over Saints Row by wiping out all of the major lieutenants that are trying to take over that of the Row. And now it's time for the Saints to make their move against the other gangs. So, with all that said, let's get into this, shall we guys? Chapter 3, Lin and the Rollers. It's been a few months since the Saints have now declared war on the other gangs of Stillwater. And Izuku, wanting to gain a lot more respect and basically help out a few people around Stillwater, took on a few jobs after all. Some were a little bit okay here and there, like basically jacking cars, taking a few parts from them, killing a few pimps and gang members here and there to get that of, some hookers. And some were a little bit just weird, like one with that of insurance fraud, having to be a chauffeur for, clients to get busy in the backseat of a car, and surprisingly, doing some demolition derby work too, even though he's technically 15. However, there's 2 jobs that he refused to do, that being a hitman and being that of trafficking drugs across the city. He doesn't want to be seen as a mindless killer after all, and he's not a big fan of selling drugs to anybody, especially around that of his neighborhood when he goes to school. The Carnales basically continue this shit already. No need to perpetuate the same cycle of bullshit that's been going around Stillwater for years. So he basically just keeps away from that shit for at least what he would do for now. Not to mention, summer break is now finally let out. So no schools for the next 2 to 3 months, which also means it makes things a lot more easier for Izuku to work as that of a gang member, especially in the mornings, afternoons, and evenings and nights. Sure, being a member of the Saints has worried his mom, and not to mention Tsuyu, given the last time that she came over to his place due to her being worried about the guy. But even so, he's a saint now, and he's doing this for them, not for himself, mainly to keep his family and friends safe and out of this gang lifestyle after all, and not caught up in all of this bullshit too. Finishing up a job, basically driving around that of a John Doe and a, hooker basically around. And let's just say the hooker that the guy basically wanted was something that Izuku never thought that he would ever see. Getting the cut of his pay, and hopefully gets him a lot of respect for this shit. Because how could anybody respect him when he does jobs like this? Before getting a call, as it being from Lin, within saying, "Hello? Miss Lin, saying, none of that miss shit, kid. I got a few plans that I have for that of the Rollers. Meet me behind that at the stadium. We got some shit to discuss there. But then Izuku saying, yes, got it. I'll be there in a bit. Heading straight for his car, which is basically the Wheeler's car that he had that he took from the docks about a couple weeks ago and now made his own and decided to customize it in the colors of the Saints. Gotta say, Rim Jobs did a good job on his car. But then, as he drives away, heading straight through that of the neighborhood, and mainly in that of Roller's territory. As again, he's a little bit nervous being around territory like this. It's one thing to be around that of the row, after all. He's used to being there, especially since that's where his school is too. But it also brings back memories given the fact that he used to live around here as well. Back when he was just a kid, seeing a certain playground that he used to play at with a childhood friend of his. As he couldn't help but have that of flashes of him as a younger version of him and a spiky blonde net playing alongside Izuku as well. But then, as Izuku couldn't help but go down that of memory lane, that's when soon he hears somebody honking, but then realizing, oh right, light's green. As he drives down the street, the Stillwater Dome. As he arrives, he soon notices Lynn in that of her car, but also a few other Rollers members. Within realizing, crap, I thought she'd be alone. Within, he waited it out. However, but here, listening in on that of their conversation though, with then two Rollers walking alongside that of Lynn, with one of them saying, hey, that's a sweet ass ride, Lynn. With Lynn barely listening, saying, yeah. Within the other Roller saying, who tuned it up for you? Within she basically having that of a smug pride, but also a little bit of annoyance, saying, no one, I tuned it up myself. But then the guy on the left saying, the spoiler looks like Donnie's work, don't you think? Within the other guy saying, nah, the undergrow looks more like Ricky Lou. With the other guy saying, yeah, guess it does. With Lynn getting annoyed at this, and basically just, Jesus, what the fuck is this, 3rd grade? As the two were basically confused, saying, what do you mean? But then Lynn just huffing, annoyed, saying, never mind, see you all tomorrow. But then both of them just couldn't help but walk off, but the other guy saying, dude, she totally wants you. But then Lynn just narrowing her eyes at the two Rollers, before then just slamming her door, saying, assholes. But then Izuku saying, I won't lie, it was pretty hard for me not to basically cap their asses right then and there. Looking back at Izuku, as she couldn't help but basically smile, but that smile basically faded before going back to annoyance, saying, tell me about it. I swear, we cannot kill these assholes soon enough. As she soon lights up that of a cigarette, before then taking a huff, saying, outside of a few macho bullshit here and there, and talk about that of upgrading cars and all that, other than that, nothing else interesting. But then Izuku saying, but you called saying that you did find something. So, but then saying, I'm getting to that, Deku, I'm getting to that. Before taking another huff, saying, the only interesting thing is high performance cars coming in here in the city. They're going to be using them for a race. With Izuku basically raising an eyebrow, saying, wait, so we're just jacking their cars? That's it? I've done jobs like this a dozen times. I'm not saying I'm not grateful, but within saying, trust me, Deku, I know it ain't much, but we're going to use the most of it for the time being. I want you to jack their shipment, take it to Samson, and he'll basically be rigging the cars, and then he'll take it back to the other Rollers. Trust me. But Izuku's basically scratching his hair, saying, I don't know. Saying, do you trust me or not? I'm your lieutenant after all. Saying, I understand, I get it. But then saying, good. Now, get out of here before anybody notices us. When Izuku nods and heads off to his car, but then she couldn't help but basically smirk a little bit. Before then saying, he really is way too nice of a kid. I really hope that you know what you're doing, Julius. Also, but then, remembering Sakura's words a few weeks ago, saying, bitch, if I wanted to do something with him, I would. I don't need your fucking permission. As she starts up her car and soon drives off, as it basically blitzes out of the parking lot. But then Izuku saying, whoa, now that's a fast car. As he heads back to his car, before then getting a message on where the shipment is in the truck as it's on that of the highway saying, all right, I should be able to handle this. Hopefully there's not a lot of traffic there. Well, putting the car in that of gear before driving off onto the highway. A few minutes later, he soon notices that of the truck with all the cars basically on its hull. Before then, pulling out his handgun, bringing down that of his passenger mirror. Before then, shooting at the guy in the driver's seat. But then one of the rollers who noticed this saying, "What the fuck? Who the fuck shot the driver?" But then Izuku getting out of the car before heading to that of the truck, as one of the rollers begin to start shooting at him, as he gets in pretty quickly saying, "Damn it, damn it, damn it, damn it," as he basically floors the gas before realizing, oh shit, I may have taken shipments before, but piloting rigs have always made me so freaking nervous. As the first time he basically tried to, drive a big rig truck wasn't so easily. Heck, it was one of the most stressful and most frustrating things he's ever done, especially when stealing shipment of cars and other goods for people after all. But hopefully he'll be able to make it to Samson's pretty quickly. Just gotta get back to the row as soon as he can, as he's constantly getting shot at by that of the rollers trying to get back their truck and shipment. But then wondering, damn it, as soon pulling out that of his submachine gun being his TAC-9, as then finally pointing at that of the rollers and begin to shoot at them, mainly just to get them off of him after all. As he's reaching that of the exit lane and arriving back at the row, where he heads to that of Samson's garage and then parking that of the truck in front of the garage, before then getting out of it saying, there we go. Before then noticing an African American man wearing a white tank top shirt and blue and that of, somewhat purple jeans saying, "Yo, Deku, I heard from Lynn. Don't worry, I got the rest from here." "Yeah, thought so. She said that you would. Thanks, Samson." But then saying, "Anytime." Then asking, "So, what are you gonna do with him?" Saying, "Oh, you'll see. Just give me a few hours. I should be able to handle this quickly." Oh, also, then pulling something from his pocket, saying, "This is from Lynn. Just something for your troubles after all." As it being a pretty big wad of cash, saying, "Whoa, just like that?" Saying, "Yeah, just like that. You should get going. Lynn might call you again in a couple hours, so better relax while you can." Saying, Right. I promise I will." But then, as Izuku begins to head out, as good thing that he's pretty close by, hopefully, he did call somebody to get his car back after all. So it should be at his apartment complex's parking lot, hopefully. While walking around that of the neighborhood, he soon gets a call, as it being from Ida, within saying, "Hey, Ida, what is it?" Saying, "Midoriya, did you not promise that you would meet us at the library today?" Within, Izuku blinks multiple times saying, "Wait, what? Did you forget that we had that of a study session? You, Uraka, I, and Tsuyu. We need to prepare for that of next year after all. We're all going to become juniors, to be honest." But then Izuku realized, "Oh, crap! I totally forgot. Sorry, Ida." Saying, "Midoriya, I know you've been having a job lately, but try and take this seriously. Your education is just as important as what your job is." Saying, I know. Sorry, guys. I flaked out a little bit." Saying, "Just make sure that you don't get yourself in too much trouble. I hear gang activity is starting to ramp up even more, especially with a new gang on the rise. I don't know their names, but please be safe out there." Saying, "Yeah, I will, Ida. Promise." As that, Izuku hangs up the call, before then sighing, saying, "Shit, man. I really hate lying, and I really hate that I forgot about the study session I have with the others. My life as a saint is starting to Within Izuku basically slapping his face saying, no, this is all for them, to keep them safe. The Saints are doing this to protect Stillwater. Nothing more, nothing less. I don't care if I am considered a criminal or if I had to get my hands dirty. I'll do this to protect everybody, and I swear. As Izuku was planning on heading to Freckle Bitches to get something to eat, that's when he finally got a call from that of Lin saying, hey, Samson just finished up with that of the cars and delivered them. And they're basically being given to that of the rollers. Come to the nightclub in Chinatown. I got a plan for that. Within, Izuku hearing saying, wait, seriously? That quickly? Saying, trust me, you're gonna love this, Deku. Just meet me here. Within, Izuku basically gets out of Freckle Bitches and heads straight to get his car. As then he arrives in the downtown area, in between that of Vice King and Roller's territory. Where there he sees a nightclub and gets out of it. But then soon he had to remember, wait, they're not probably gonna let me in. I'm still 15, so I need my... But then pulling something out of his glove compartment. Thankfully, due to all of his jobs, he was able to find somebody to make a fake ID for him. As he goes to the entrance, shows his ID and says, I'm here for Miss Lin. With then saying, come on in. But then letting him out, as many people who are waiting in line saying, seriously? You're gonna let him in? He's a fucking kid! Saying, nah, he's not, he's 21. Saying, bull fucking shit! But then Izuku getting a little bit nervous and having that of a, somewhat nervous smile saying, I'm surprised that actually worked. As he moves to that of the dance floor before noticing Lin and Lin noticing him. As then she couldn't help but grab his hand saying, try not to be superstitious, as Izuku's face goes completely red with him blushing like crazy as Lin explains the situation. As they begin to dance on the dance floor, mainly just, swinging side to side while Lin holds on to Izuku, even though Izuku is kind of shorter than her. Within, she's saying, you did good out there, but we're not done yet. Those cars that Simon rigged, their engines have been tampered with to reach a high enough temperature. I need you to make sure that they reach that temperature. Within, Izuku still blushing, but at least a lot more self-aware now, saying, me? You want me to be in the race? Saying, yeah, I need you to take care of this. Within, Izuku saying, but what about Larry? I mean, he's a better driver than I am. Saying, tried. He's a little busy right now. Mainly keeping an eye on that of Johnny, of course. Within, Izuku saying, yeah, that makes a lot more sense now. What about Sakura, though? She's a pretty better driver than me. Within, Lin saying, as much as I want to call the bitch, she's a little bit... I'm not really trying to deal with her right now. At least until she gets the stick out of her ass. So, you're my next choice. Well, you and Troy, to be honest. I know these guys, after all. They rile them up a little bit. They're going to try and basically overlap you and hit the nos. And once they do, within getting close to Izuku's ear saying, boom. Making Izuku's already red face goes absolutely crimson. As then saying, once those cars blow, you gotta get out of there as soon as you can. You're no good to us dead and you're no good to us arrested. Got it, Deku? Within, Izuku nodding saying, yes. Before then, she's saying, thanks for the dance. You got a race to win. As she says that seductively, within leaving Izuku pretty flustered and, fully red through his face, saying, that just happened. As he basically wanders out of the club, completely unaware of him basically walking to begin with, before then entering out of it, and soon notice somebody basically pulling up to him while his face is still completely red. Unaware of a car basically pulling up to him right outside the club, with then somebody honking the horn. But then Izuku snapping out of it, noticing that, saying, Troy, sir! Saying, hey, Deku, let's get going. Saying, but she said that you would just, help me out, but I thought you meant bring the car. I didn't know you would. Yeah. Now, as much as I respect Lin, I ain't going to be doing this whole lap the race bullshit. Get me close to those cars, get me close to those drivers, and I can basically open them up for you. But then Izuku saying, wait, are you saying yep, I'm going to be insulting those motherfuckers. Make it a lot more easier for them to have those engines basically ready to blow. Hearing that, Izuku couldn't help but sigh, saying, all right, if it'll work, makes things a lot more easier, but still. But then Troy saying, don't worry, Deku, we got this. Come on, get in. As then Izuku gets on that of the driver's side, while Troy gets on the passenger side. Within, pulling out of the parking lot. Izuku get up and say, so, is there any major reason why you decided to do this yourself too, Troy? I mean, Sakura and Larry have their reasons, but within, Troy couldn't help but sigh, saying, I'm not a big fan of Lin going undercover under the rollers. Within, Izuku's eyes wide in shock while looking at Troy, but going back to that of the road, and saying, stick with a crew like that long enough, you're going to start thinking like him. Then, Izuku looking down, saying, maybe so, but I trust Lin. I think she'll know where she comes from, no matter what. But then, Troy saying, you sure about that? Then, Izuku, confident, as saying, I am, sir. I promise. If Julius trusts her to be that of an undercover for us, then I trust her too. As the Saints' second in command, you should do the same. Then, Troy couldn't help but sigh, saying, maybe so. Before then, they arrive at their destination, which is basically a bunch of cars all circling around each other. But then, Troy saying, looks like we're here. Better get ready, Deku saying, yes, sir. As seeing a lot of people basically wandering around, with some people already in their cars, and some actually ready to pull up to the strip. But then Izuku noticing a few of the cars, he noticed that a few of the cars he remembers from the truck rig. But then saying, yep, that's a few of them. Some I pretty much remember quite a bit before I left with Samson. But then Troy saying, all right, looks like they're all set. As all the cars line up as in front of the strip, which is basically on fire. But then Izuku realized, Jesus, I've done a lot of races before, but they never did. But they made the strip freaking on fire. But then Troy saying, still new to this shit, aren't you, Deku? This is the kind of edgy bullshit that these rollers love to do all the time. Supposed to test your tires, metal, and all that bullshit. But right now, all we need to do is just basically put these kids in their place. Then Izuku revving the car saying, right. As then, that of a Asian American woman wearing that of a white tank top that shows quite a bit of her cleavage, basically leather pants, and long black hair, as she is the starter for the race, saying, you all ready? With then, everybody revving their engines, even Izuku saying, all right, 3, 2, 1, go! But then, everybody blitzing through that of the starting line, as Izuku already pulled up pretty far, mainly in that of 5th place, with Troy bringing up his phone, remembering the pictures of the cars that Samson gave him, saying, all right, we're coming up on the one on the right. Within, seeing the car, as it looks like Lin's car, but a little less detailed. With Troy rolling down the window, with Izuku saying, Troy, what are you? Yo, rollers, bitch. You really think you could drive be one of us? Seriously, you better get your pink slip ready. Within, the roller couldn't help but basically also bring down his window, saying, suck my exhaust, bitch. Within, Izuku getting closer and closer. Within, Troy saying, nah, you better prepare to give us your mom's car. How's taking the school bus gonna feel? Within, the roller couldn't help but get annoyed, saying, shut the fuck up. Within, Izuku passing the guy. Within, as the roller couldn't help but get annoyed at this, as Troy saying, yeah, better get that pink slip ready, boy. Well, as soon, the guy couldn't help but shout, suck on this, as he activates the NOS. As soon as he reaches reaches one of the checkpoints, that's when his hood begins to pop open as fire begins coming out of it. As he couldn't help but scream, "What?" Before then, his car fully explodes. As many of the bystanders, even that of the people who are not even involved in this race, couldn't help but basically move out of the way, with Izuku dodging out of the debris of the now destroyed car. With then Troy saying, "Yeah!" With even Izuku somewhat excited saying, "Wow, that actually worked." With then saying, "I told you." Now, we got at least that of 2 more cars up ahead of us. We want to take care of the rest? Within, Izuku saying, "Gladly." Blitzing forward towards the way through the streets as they finally get out of that of the suburban neighborhood before arriving into that of the, entertainment area of the west side of Stillwater. Within, seeing another car similar to Lynn's as then the driver saying, "Suck on this, bitch," as he tries to blitz forward. However, Izuku is still close on his ass, with Troy saying, "Seriously? I thought you rollers know how to race. Looks like you were nothing but jokes." With then saying, "Oh, screw you. Like you know what racing is all about, old man." With then Troy getting annoyed at that, saying, "Sure, maybe call me old, but at least I'm not some prep school motherfucker that uses his family's trust fund as to tune his car. Why don't you use your real cash? Oh, wait, you can't since you always spend it, since you always lose it in races." With then saying, "Shut your ass up," as trying to get farther away from Izuku. With Izuku saying, "This guy's actually kind of good." But then Troy couldn't help but smirk saying, "Oh, trust me, I got this." As then Izuku getting closer and closer, with then saying, "How long you're gonna plan on using your grandmother's car for this race? I think she wants it back for bingo night." With then saying, "Oh, that's it. Eat my dust, you motherfucking piece of shit." As then blitzing using the NOS once again. As then Izuku saying, 3, 2, 1, with another explosion in the distance before passing the wreckage. But then Troy saying, "Yeah, now that's what I'm talking about." But soon he's saying, "Got one more car left, and this one's on the leaderboard." But then saying, "Oh, you taking this seriously now, Deku?" Saying, "Not gonna lie, I do want to win, while also keep completing our task from Lynn." As then Troy saying, "Then let's do this." As then he's switching gears once more and getting closer to the next car, as now they're heading onto that of the highway. Within, heading closer and closer to the next car, as this one isn't like that of Lynn's car, as it actually looks like that of a special made supercar. As then Izuku getting closer and closer. However, the driver basically blitzes forward a little bit more and more as Izuku saying, "Damn it, he's way faster. I don't know," but then saying, "Just keep getting closer. I got this. You're gonna let that bitch overwhelm us?" But then Izuku saying, "Hell no." Within, flooring it even more, but soon getting closer and closer to the car with Troy saying, "I got this. Yo, just because you're a rich boy doesn't mean you're a real racer." Within saying, "Suck it, like you know what's racing all about." As then the guy tries to move even forward past Izuku. However, Izuku is still keeping close to him, as now they're neck and neck. But then Troy couldn't help but speak out saying, "Just because you're a big fan of street racing movies doesn't make you a real tuner, bitch." Then the guy just getting more and more annoyed as you can see he's basically hovering his finger over that of the NOS before then reaching the exit. As soon as they're about to turn, Troy gives off one last word saying, "You're nothing but talk and nothing but another overprivileged rich kid. Go cry to mommy when we lap you." But then the guy's saying, "Oh, fuck you. I'll show you a real street racer." As soon as they get off the highway, he soon activates his NOS. It then heading to that as he was close to the finish line, as it's basically the opening to that of the waterway for that of the river of Stillwater. As then realizing, I got this, I'm gonna. However, before he even got a chance, his car explodes. As soon as it was almost close to hitting the finish line, it soon basically blitzes over to another street racer car, with then Izuku and Troy being the ones who won the race. As then Izuku couldn't help but basically cheer alongside that of Troy, saying, "Woo, yeah!" But then Troy can help but shout out saying, "Damn, Lynn doesn't fuck around, doesn't she?" But then Izuku saying, No, she doesn't. Gotta thank her and Samson for this shit." But soon, hearing one of the street racers that are not even part of the rollers basically saying, "Cops coming! Cops coming!" But then Troy realizing Izuku, right, as getting it back in gear before driving off in the distance, getting away from that of the cops, as Izuku gets back on the highway to head back to the row. In the meantime, while the street race is basically being looked over, a few of the rollers who saw this couldn't help but think, "What the fuck is this shit?" But then another one couldn't help but say, "Jesus, I think that was Larry who died in that car." The one with the supercar saying, "Fuck me, man. What the hell? Who the hell basically fucked up his car? He just got that damn thing." But then somebody walking over saying, "The hell is going on here?" But soon, as the rollers recognize the voice, as they all stand in place saying, "Oh, Tensei, sir. Sorry, we were just wondering what happened to the race. A few of our boys just got killed. Looks like their cars exploded with a NOS." Within, looking at that of a man, a tall and semi-muscular man with that of semi-spiky bluish black hair, as he wears that of a white t-shirt with that of racing stripes on it, and that of black pants with that of blue, with navy blue accents on it. Not to mention, by the look of his features, he looks like that of Asian American, or just pure Japanese, actually. Within saying, "So, somebody screw up our race, or did those idiots just overloaded their NOS?" Within, soon one of them say, "Sir, we know, we've worked with them for years. They would never basically make such an amateurish and newbie mistake. Come on, somebody had to basically mess up their cars." But then, as Tensei couldn't help but think, "I think I might have some ideas. I remember later on in the day, a few of our cars got jacked off the highway before being delivered back to that of back to our car dealership that we own. So, you really think somebody tampered with their cars before giving them back to them just to screw over our race?" But then one of them say, "I mean, somebody who thinks like that has to be somebody who knew about the race to begin with, right?" But then Tensei saying, "Doubtful. Not a lot of people outside of anyone here in the west side of Stillwater knew about the race, and even a roller themselves. Plus, let's also bring in the fact that the cops showed up as soon as the race was over. If anything, we have somebody snitching on us." But then one of them couldn't help but say, "We got a rat? Somebody's a snitch?" But then saying, "Go back to the dealership. We're gonna be and stay on a high alert. All future races will be on suspended for the time being. We're not risking any more of our boys' and girls' life. You hear me?" But they'd say, "Yes, sir." As then, they all basically head into their cars before driving off. But then, Tensei saying, "Damn, this is such a pain in the ass." Before then, getting a call, before then saying, "This is undercover officer Tensei Ida." "Who is it?" Within saying, as then one of them say, "It's your boss, Tensei." Saying, "Oh, Chief Monroe. Sir, what can I do you for? I heard about the little mess that we had, that sting operation about basically arresting all of those roller racing junkie brats. Basically failed. Half of the racers died, and a lot of collateral damage happened across the west side of Stillwater. Not to mention, it also led to that of many of the street racers who weren't even part of the race getting away a lot more quicker and sooner. We only captured that of 10 of them, while the rest are basically still roaming the city. Care to explain this, Ida?" But then, Tensei saying, "I understand, sir. We miscalculated. However, there was a little bit of a weird hiccup during the race when I found out. Outside of the cars, there are basically outside of the racers who are basically rollers. They're all basically fatalities. I heard from that of a few associates that one racing team didn't basically die in the race, and the one who won it. I believe they're our main suspects, but nobody knows on where they've gone to yet. We're basically roaming the city for the car now. But then the chief on the phone saying, then you better start looking. And I swear to God, Ida, you've been working with the rollers for almost out of 5 years now. You better not be turning table on us. But then saying, I wouldn't think of it, sir. I am a loyal officer of the SWPD. Doing so would bring great shame to my family name. Saying, then I better start seeing results. Monroe out. But then hanging up. But soon, Tent taking up and say, I know he's my boss, but just being around, just listening to him just is a massive fucking headache. At any rate, better head back to Price, if anything. Not to mention Mr. Sharp. I'm almost finding out that Sharp is basically one of the leaders of the Rollers. It was a shock for me when I became the enforcer. How can a law-abiding and basically wealthy lawyer like him be basically a gang member? Not to mention those buyers. Even when finally becoming an enforcer and being close to Price and Donnie, I still don't know who the hell those buyers are. Hopefully I'll be able to get some information sooner than later. As he soon drives off, he soon heads to that of his custom-made hammerhead, which in that of the colors of the Rollers, where that of the Rollers always have tuner cars, he prefers raw American muscle. Before finally driving off, arriving back at the row, ditching the car, realizing that the cops are going to be finding it, but then Troy basically fist bumping and also high-fiving that of Deku, saying, so, nice work out there, Deku. You really got some stuff out there. Saying, thanks, sir. I give it my all. Saying, keep this up and we might be able to take down the Rollers sooner than later. But then saying, hopefully. Alright, you should probably head back home. Lynn will probably call you another time. But then saying, yeah, got it. As Izuku basically walks back home. However, little did he know, he was heading straight for a certain somebody, as then somebody pulling up in front of Izuku. However, instead of them being in a car, they're on a motorcycle. But then Izuku say, what the? Before then, noticing the person as being Sakura, as she takes off her helmet saying, you dumb son of a bitch. But then Izuku saying, what did I do now, Sakura? But then as she soon parks to that of the sidewalk, saying, I heard that you did a job for Lynn twice. One basically jacking some cars and then doing a race to make sure those cars exploded with the Rollers inside. And then Izuku saying, yeah, so? But then she couldn't help but huffing that of annoyance, saying, so, the Rollers are basically are one of the newest gangs. Lynn alone can't handle that shit. And basically involving you as well is not going to make things easier. Saying, so what do you expect me to do? Well, then she couldn't help but huff. Before then, basically not flicking his forehead as Izuku basically went a little bit in pain. For then saying, dumbass, I'm going to be fucking helping you. Obvious. As then Izuku saying, huh? What do you... Look, Izuku, I got some, information that you might want to hear about this. That Lynn may even have some problems trying to find out. The Rollers have that of 3 leaders. I hear that they have a 4th leader, but not even sure about it. But then Izuku saying, wait, they have 3 to 4 leaders? Why are you telling me this? Why not Lynn saying, I was going to, but when I figured she brought your ass in this, you deserve to know as well. The next time she calls in you for a job, you better start calling me too. No, you're not doing this shit alone again. But then Izuku saying, I get it. Still, I'm a member of the Saints too. I can help as well. Saying, you want to help? Then help by basically trusting others besides trying to prove yourself like some macho dumbass. You already have. No need to basically try and get yourself killed. But then she tossing her helmet towards Izuku saying, now get on my bike. Your car is already back at your place anyway, so I'll drive you there. But then he's just saying, thanks. Sakura saying, yeah, whatever. Just get on, damn it. But then the two basically get on the bike before then driving off as Sakura drives Izuku back home. But then she's saying, you better wrap your arms around me. I drive pretty damn fast. Saying, okay. But then having Izuku's arms wrapped around her. However, she noticed that originally he always seemed like he was scrawny and pretty weak as hell. Barely had any muscles whatsoever. But now this Izuku actually has some definition of muscle now added onto his body. And she can't help but basically mentally squeal, having that of the guy she loves arms wrapped around her. Then she drives off in that of the Saints Row district, as the battle with that of the West Side Rollers has just begun. And that's it. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please tell me what you guys think in the comments below. Love to read them. So, how'd you guys like this, guys? You think I was a little rusty, or do you think I did the atmosphere of Saints Row pretty well? Like I said, it's been so long since I've done this story. I'm going to try and do this story a lot more. Hell, half of the scripts that I made for the series, I actually deleted, to be honest. Hell, I had to do this one by complete and total refresher, to be honest. So yeah, sorry guys. At any rate, if you guys like this, please like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that bell notification to date my videos uploaded to the channel. Also, please check out my Discord, my gaming channel, my main channel, my other channel, my Patreon, my Cash App, and my PayPal. All link in the description below if I'm not too lazy to do so. So, with all that said, this is Leon Mookie, signing out. Later guys, hope you all take care.